Welcome to Nicki's Crochet Podcast. I am so excited to be here. You get to know the designers from a totally different perspective that you may have never noticed before or known before. It makes you curious, it makes you smile and wanting more. And I'm your host, Nicki, creator of Nicki's Homemade Crafts. And today I am so honored to have Mikey from the Crochet Crowd here as my special guest. Make sure you subscribe to both our channels. I have the links down below in the description. Turn on the bell to get a notification when we publish new videos. So let me now introduce you to Mikey. Hi, Mikey. How are you doing? I'm so excited you're here.
Thank you so much for the invite. I never do this, so you're breaking me in, Nicki.
I am so honored, and we're going to make it fun because you're one of the most hilarious and funnest designers I've ever met in the World Wide Web, and I'm so honored. Let me actually jump right in and make you feel really comfortable because some people know it and some people don't, but how did you come up with the name The Crochet Crowd?
Actually, that was Daniel came up with the name,
No
and
way.
we originally, my username on YouTube was actually for a grade 5 class in New York City. I sponsored a special needs class for 3 or so years. And so Tyra Mail was like such a big thing on the Tyra show. And I thought, you know what, us kids were corresponding back and forth. So I thought, well, Mikey's Mail. So when I originally created YouTube, I was Mikey's Mail, but we decided to do a big show. And Daniel said, you can't go there because it doesn't mean anything. So we came up with several names, and the Crochet Click was really close, but we thought that was too exclusive yeah. So Daniel said, it's the Crochet Crowd. It's not about you. It's about the community. So
Yes.
It's about the crowd of people. So it was actually him. So I can't take credit.
I love it though, but you guys are a team. I mean, come on. I mean, you both are together in this, even though you're kind of the face of it, you are together in this. And I absolutely love that you're really working well together privately and the business. I mean, that's just an honor. That must be awesome. I kind of work with my husband as well. So, but he's more of a totally different aspect, has nothing to do with crocheting, right? So you guys, I mean, you must be feeling awesome to have your partner being part of your business. Did you have a good relationship?
Yeah, we do. But he knows how to yank my chain, and he knows when I'm cutting corners. So I think that's the advantage of Daniel. So he will literally say, you know what, you really didn't do your best, and it hurts my feelings. And his critique sometimes comes at an unwanted moment, but it actually makes you do better.
That's true.
You know
I
what I'm
have
saying?
exactly the same thing with my husband. He looks at certain things and is like, that's not really what you usually do. Are you sure about this? You know, he
Yeah.
knows how to talk to me in a way where it's like, okay, let me think about this one more time. So,
And they know how to walk away when they need to.
yes. Yes, exactly. Okay, so I have some questions from the audience. So for those who are listening, you can submit your questions ahead of time. You can even ask me who you want to have on a podcast. So there's a link down below in the description for that. But one of the questions was asked was, are you actually an organized person? Some people think maybe not, but you make it look like you're very organized. Are you an organized person?
I am manic when it comes to statistical data. I don't know why I love it. But
I love
as
it
far
too.
as organized, I fly by the seat of my pants. What happens on the Crochet Crowd tomorrow is dictated by today. And it's dictated by metrics. It's dictated by what people show and tell. So literally, we came up with an idea yesterday to do something. And I'm like, and here I am doing it. So it's not in the plan. Some people want like all these notices in advance of what we're going to do. I have no idea. Just fly by the seat of my pants.
I totally agree.
So,
I have certain things on my plan. It's almost like certain things like, okay, I want to do this, but I have no clue when that's going to happen. I like the idea, don't know. And then there's things that work really well if I have like a quick timeline. Okay, I got to get this done. I'll get it done now, but don't ask me about anything else. I
yeah,
totally get it.
yeah.
I
An
totally
email
get it.
can throw me right off, like an email from a consumer, a message, and all
Yes.
of a sudden, what I had planned today is completely off the table.
I totally get it. And there are comments that completely throw me off. And my husband knows how to kind of turn it around a little bit. So he's like, you know what?
Mhm.
Go crochet in a corner, watch TV. You're fine. You just let it go through and then we'll turn this whole thing around again tomorrow. Tomorrow's a new day. So I
Mhm.
feel ya. But let me turn this into a funny way. Do you remember a funny comment that someone made that just made you laugh out loud? Or do you remember a moment where you're like, oh my God, that's just so funny?
I love when people comment on our stuff that's witty. The problem is that I have such an innuendo humor that that I can take it and I can laugh behind the scenes, but somebody else can go completely the opposite way in what
Yes.
that innuendo is. We released a tutorial or a video talk earlier this week, and I said, "What do you think about this?" And the comments are coming back so comical, but it actually kind of makes me laugh. So, for example, I'm manic about counting. Are you manic
Hmm.
about counting? Yeah. So that was my talk, and so I mimicked myself doing it. And somebody says, "Have a great 24-hour day." You know what I'm saying? It's so ridiculous, but it's just fun, and I love when the community can talk to me on that level instead of putting me on a pedestal because I don't belong there.
Oh, I totally get it. I have a question about the crochet cruises. So some people know you do crochet cruises. So how did that even come about? Did you say, you know what, I'm going to organize this crochet cruise and make this fun
Mm-mm.
thing? How did that happen?
Mm-mm. No, we were actually at the Creative Festival, and Swarovski Crystal was trying to get me to be an ambassador of Swarovski Crystals, and I know nothing about jewelry. And she goes, we do cruises with our team, and what we take all the jewelry and everything, and we rent a conference space, and we teach our ambassadors for a week. And I
Wow.
said, well, is that expensive to do? How do you arrange it? And I
Hmm.
thought, well, why can't we do that with crochet? And I had no idea there was Crochet Cruises at the time. And so I was like, so once I started realizing there's a moment, I started Googling and I realized there's people that actually do that. I'm like, I think this might be a real thing. And all you just needed to do was 30 people. And I thought, I think we can get 30 people. And that's basically, it was a year of setup. The planning is unbelievable, Nikki. Like
Oh, I
it,
believe
it
you.
is insanity.
Oh my gosh, I can totally imagine. I mean, you were the first one I heard about crochet cruises. Like, man, that's a thing. That's so cool. Like, I would love to be part of it.
We're no longer doing it. We're done.
Oh no.
You know what? No, no, it's all good. You know what? The reason for it, Nikki, is that things in time move on. And I think about Oprah, and she decides to end her show on the 25th year. She
Mhm.
says, "I've done the fun, and I'm done." And I just think with crochet, if we keep doing the same thing over and over,
Yeah.
we're just going to end up just crocheting the granny square. And I figured the Crochet Cruises was great at the time, but I think there's something more to it now. And the friendships that I have got, most of my closest friendship, including my team, are
Yeah.
actually originating from these cruises.
Well,
So it's been very beneficial.
oh, that's amazing. That's really amazing. But let me talk for a second a little bit more about this. Do you have like a fun or funny moment that happened at Crochet Cruise? Did like a
Oh,
ball roll off onto into the water? Did something funny happen?
well, I don't know. Like our first crochet cruises out of California, our first year, 2000, somebody actually fell off the cruise ship.
No
And
way.
it was so dramatic, and it's like, and so anyway, so that's happening. You can feel the ships moving and you hear the alarms going off. Half the dining room staff takes off, and I'm like, so anyway, so the server comes by. I said, what is going on? Because I've never really been on a cruise ship much. And they said, it's up to you just to enjoy your meal. We got it all under control. Meanwhile, this woman that's been drinking went overboard, and it turns out that they went and looked for her, but she had fallen onto a crew deck, hit a
Oh,
lifeboat, and rolled back into the thing instead of out into the water.
wow.
Snapped her leg in half. She got
Oh,
arrested at the end. But I don't know if that's funny, but
it's
it
unique
really
for
puts
sure.
in perspective that your event and everything where you host it has extra challenges that you never consider,
Yes,
right?
for sure. Oh my God, would
So
have never. Oh my God, that's a story.
can
That's
you imagine? So we have great stories each time, but sometimes we just keep it on the cruise ship. Like when you have to peel a crocheter off the piano bar because she's had a little bit too much to drink and the music's hitting her so well, take that lanyard off her chest right now. They are not part of our group, and enjoy the rest of your night.
oh my God, that is hilarious. That's hilarious. Oh my gosh. But you're a very private person, but when it comes to, going around, even traveling, and let's say it's not with specifically for business purposes, but do people recognize you in public? Like, how do you act? Did it happen before? I'm sure it did, right?
Yeah, it does happen, but honestly, what you see is what you get with me. So, honestly, like I feel like I'm just a regular Joe with
Yes.
just a crochet hook that's just eager to learn and to teach crochet. So when I get recognized, it's hey, how are you? Whatever. I don't mind it, but
Mhm.
I don't call attention to it. But in the airports, I just sit and crochet, and that's usually what calls me out on that. So,
Yeah, totally fine. I love that.
does
I
that
love
happen
how
to
you
you? Does that happen to you?
I've had it a few times. One time it was at like a dinner, and my husband and I were at a dinner, and this one person kept looking at me, and I'm like, I don't understand. I don't know you. Why you keep looking at me? And I didn't say anything, but then the person came over and said, I think my mom said she recognizes you from YouTube. And are you this one designer? And I'm like, oh my gosh, yes. And I wanted to send her one of my patterns for free, you know. But it was so sweet. I was like, what? I was a little
It's kind of
shocked.
it is shocking,
It
isn't
is
it?
shocking.
Like
It's like
it
completely
truly
weird,
is.
but it
Hmm.
wasn't bad. I felt humbled. You know, I felt like, oh, that's kind of sweet, but I felt like unique, like really weird a little bit on one hand, but not bad.
What happens on these crochet cruises is that people don't realize I'm there and the group is there, and they show up and there's all these crocheters, and then they realize it's our party on board.
Yeah.
And so that's happened almost every cruise where there's actually our community is on board already. So that's kind of neat.
That's
Yeah.
true. That's true.
Hmm.
Now, speaking of traveling, do you intend to maybe do this globally, or maybe travel
Hmm.
around the world and have like a fun trip or
Hmm.
something?
Yeah, one of our biggest obstacles, Nikki, is that you have to get the yarn to where it needs to go before we can leave.
Oh
The
yes.
problem is that we can only leave at so many locations because the shipping rates are really huge. So the
Hmm.
cost of an event skyrockets. So
Yeah.
we're now doing travel with the boys. And what we're doing with that is instead of us bringing the yarn, you bring your own yarn
Yes.
and we'll do our little fun and stuff. So we have Europe planned. We have what is called as a mystery event
Hmm.
happening where you will just say, we're going to have an event. This is the price of it. And you need to arrive at this airport and everything else is in the dark. We
Oh
see it on
wow.
reality shows. Can you, Matt, could you do that?
Oh my God, I don't know if I could, but it sounds very interesting. I think I would
Hmm.
prefer being the organizer versus the one who would go, just because I
Wow.
like organizing, you know, like events and
I
things.
squeal like a pig, so they're not even telling me.
Oh my
Mhm.
gosh, that
So
kind of
that's
excited.
Daniel
I
and the
gotta
agent.
follow this. That is really cool
Yeah.
though. My gosh. Now, question. We're going to switch the subject for a second to crochet
Mhm.
projects. I kind of want to know,
Mhm.
have you ever done a crochet project that you know for sure you made a mistake, but you hid it in your pictures very well? You did not want to redo it, but the pattern is written perfectly, all good, but you know for sure you made a mistake. Have you
Oh,
ever done something like
absolutely.
that?
Mhm. Yeah, I found out very early in the industry, yarn inspirations. Sometimes their stuff is actually not even done and will be put onto a model, and the front is all back, but the back is actually not done. It's just the way that they're staging.
Oh,
And I
okay.
realized that sometimes you have to do that because of your timeline.
Hmm.
But sometimes when I'm going through the project, our summer stitch along that we have, there's some mistakes in there of the
Hmm.
original in the photo one, because I realized that when I was doing the chart work, I'm like, this would have been a little bit better. So I tweaked the design
Yes.
actually in the writing, but the sample you won't even notice. It's more of a structure issue than it is
Yeah.
anything.
I
Yeah.
have done a few of them where I just added a little bit of glue to it because it's supposed to work, but I used the wrong yarn. But I did write it up with the right yarn. It has the exact same color, looks exactly the same, just I used the wrong yarn for it. So I had to use some glue to it to kind of structure it so that, and you won't see it or anything, but I have done a few of those. So,
You know what they do though? Sometimes because I have such a vast collection, some of the yarns that I use are actually out of date. So
mhm.
what they do is they take the photography and then they recolor the actual color parts to
Oh,
change
wow.
it to a color that actually is still real and still actually available.
I kind of like that. I've seen people do that with some patterns of theirs. You know, they take different pictures, but then they just change the color up so they can show it. You can use it in different colors. I love that idea. Never
Well,
done
no,
it.
they actually changed the color and say this is actually this color, but it actually technically wasn't. They do a
Wow.
Photoshop change.
Yeah,
Actually, our peppermint Afghan that we have online is actually one of those ones that gets a color change
oh
because I
wow.
used the wrong color green.
That's really cool.
Isn't
Now,
that interesting?
yeah, it is very interesting. Speaking of interesting, I actually just remembered that you guys do really, really fun, cool Halloween designs. Now, how do you guys come up with these? Do you still do them every year or just once in a while? I remember them. They're so incredible. Tell me about that.
I don't know about that. Actually, no, I have taken the yarn inspirations, children's sleep sacks, and converted them into Halloween costumes. I don't
Okay.
design those kind of things, but I had them done for the video tutorials, and we were doing a Halloween event. I'm like, I have nothing to crochet wear. I'm like, well, if I just open up the bottom and let my feet fall through, I can be a popcorn box. And
That is so
So there's so
cool.
many great ideas that you can find online and just tweak it to be a wearable like that. But it's hot as hell in the Caribbean wearing burnout blanket.
I can imagine.
But worth it.
Totally. Totally. Okay, so question. If you wouldn't have been a crochet designer, what would you have done as a job?
It's a really good question. I hit my 30s. I might get a little emotional, but I hit my 30s, and Nikki, and I realized I didn't know what I was doing with my life.
Yeah.
And I felt like I wasn't actually contributing to society like I hoped I would be. And so I just kind of lost my way. And so I literally um, just sold off all my possessions. I gave notice to my landlord. I got rid of my car, drove it to the dealership and dropped it off, and I went bankrupt.
Wow.
And I was just like completely lost. So when I see our community members like that of what they would do with their future, sometimes an absolute reset. I got rid of everything, Nikki, my whole childhood memories that I had been dragging with me, all my childhood stuff. And I thought, you know what? The garbage bin is out back,
Hmm.
just drop it. And it was really life changing. So I went and joined the trucking industry because I met a gentleman that was doing
Hmm.
that. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to get in the car. So I had been to California several times in a transport, never to really see much, but just to be there and gone.
Yeah.
And so the perspective of being able to travel by truck for a few years really put in tune with me that I'm really fortunate to be where I am in the
Yes.
country that I live in, and I had never seen poverty and situations like I had seen with the truck. And so your question about what would I have done with my life, I was still in the trucking industry when I did this.
Hmm.
And I lost my way and my relationship fell off. And I thought, what am I going to do with my life? And I went on YouTube and because I lost my crochet book, and I'm like, there's this woman teaching, and I thought, I can do that. Like I can actually
Yeah.
show people. I had no intention of making this a job. It was just like I felt like I was completely just wasting oxygen on this planet. And I was literally at the edge of my rope. And I thought, well, maybe I can actually teach something. And a US magazine, I don't even know who it was, just said, this guy's kind of quirky, but he's fun. And I thought, oh my God, I'm being validated by somebody that I don't know. And what if I do another video and another? So as far as crochet designing, this I never felt I was a designer until last year, even though I have been doing this since 2008.
Yeah.
I feel like it's so too easy that you can just write a pattern and say you're a designer. I felt like I had to earn my way there so
Yeah.
that I can actually look at something and try to shape it and actually do it in a proper way other than just guessing.
I
So
yeah.
it's
I
I
totally
don't
feel
know.
you. I feel you. I mean, I've been in that situation where, people are like they want to put people love putting labels on. I totally think, that's just a
Uh-huh.
totally normal thing. So when people ask me what I was like, I don't know, like I guess I crochet and I publish patterns. I never it took me a while to say I'm a crochet designer because I still personally, even though I know that's what I do, when I really think about it and get emotional, I still don't believe that I am that person because for me, a designer, I see like these people on the runway, people that design this kind of stuff. Like I'm not one of those. I make mistakes. I'm not
Mm-mm.
perfect, so I never see myself as that. I just see myself as a creative person. I happen to be online. I do this as a job. It works for my business. It works for me and for my family. So I feel you. And regarding changing lives, oh yeah, I came from Germany, so I left quite a bit of stuff behind. So I feel you
Yeah.
completely. But I love how we turned everything around and you bring so many smiles to people. I hope you
Mhm.
see that more often because it really is amazing. And I do kind of want to talk about a little bit more about your designs. And do you have like a favorite moment in your design history where you say, "Oh, I love looking back at that"? It's like something that just warms my heart. Is it really the start, or is there something in between? Like once you get your first mega deal with a brand or something, what was your moment where you said, "Oh
Mm-mm.
my God, that's amazing"?
My moment, Nikki, is the first time somebody says thank you for showing me how to do something for the very first time. I
Wow.
can design as much as I want to do, and I can present as many free patterns, but it is that waking moment. And I will say it's usually, and I'll just say it the way that I feel. I feel so incredibly privileged to be able to give a woman, because it's primarily, we're female generated mostly,
Yes.
not everybody, but to give her the power to take something from a piece of strand and create something tangible, whether it's for her or whether for something else, to give the power of education for absolutely for free, hands down, is the biggest accomplishment of my life.
I agree. It's like life changing. Every time I get these
Mm-hmm.
paragraphs of emails, I'm like, I didn't know I did something like that. There was times where I look back, it's like this one moment, and then they come back to me like 2 3 years later, right, and say that one moment changed them. It's like I didn't know that I whatever I did there, it's changed them. I don't see it as a job. I really do see it like a privilege, like you say, that I get to make other people smile. I get to make them happy, and I get to give them the knowledge that is freely available for anyone. So,
Mm-hmm.
and you have taught me a lot, even being on camera and things, and just putting smiles on people and just saying, you know what, I'm not out there for me, I'm out there for others. Do you have like a pet peeve when it comes to crocheting? Like something that really kind of annoys you? You either see someone, let's say someone didn't weave in their ends or something like that. Like, do you have something where like, oh,
No, that doesn't bother me.
what is
You
mean?
know what bothers me? Yeah, I'll tell you what bothers me. Somebody will bang into the comments, "I'm confused, I'm lost, please help." Well, why are you lost? Give us the detail. And I feel like I'm back in grade 7 where I don't want to do my science homework and I got stuck into detention and I just sit there and I'm like, I don't
How do
understand it. I don't understand. And I'm like, and I'm just closed minded that I can't get beyond this bump, but you can't explain yourself so that you don't do it. So somebody like me cannot assist somebody like that. So that just gets me.
Yes, it's that like, okay, I need a little bit more information. I do
Yeah.
sometimes turn it around a little bit to make myself feel good about it. I say, you know what, they commented, it gave me some engagement. I'll reply. Maybe we get a good conversation going. Maybe I can turn the person around a little bit.
Yeah. So
Um,
I don't chase people like that because I feel like here's the water, Nikki.
yeah,
You got to meet me halfway to the water for me to bring you the water. At least bring me some information so I can at least bring a pail of water to you.
yes.
And I feel like the dialogue and help has to go in two ways. I could never work on a help desk on a computerized system. Can you
Yeah.
imagine having to call in to somebody and they help you on a computer? How do you turn it on? I have no idea. I'm like, hey, we're done.
I get it. Do you have like a unique thing that you do as a crocheter that you feel like, I don't think they have really seen that online. Some people do some certain things, they don't like showing it. They feel like it's unique, but they don't really feel like sharing it. Do you have something like that? That, I don't know if it's a characteristic of yours. Some like I've never talked about this, but I'm going to say it right now publicly. I chew on the side of my cheek when I'm really, really hyper focused, and I don't notice it until someone says so. And like my mom used to tell me, I was like, you're chewing on your cheek again. And my husband noticed it too. And I was like, oh, I don't notice it. But, it just happens like, and I'm really hyper focused and I don't notice it at all. Do you have something like that you do that is kind of unique?
Well, I say actually and basically like chronic on these videos. My thing is that when I'm thinking, I will go like this. I will.
Like, yeah,
So
touch.
anyway,
Yeah,
so
I do
yeah,
it too. Touch my face. Yes.
yeah. I don't know why I do it. So anyway, so when the conversation gets a little bit too hard for me,
Hmm.
I will just do that, and I'm trying to rethink my answer because what comes out of your mouth, and I think that's where we're kind of getting lost as a humanity right now, Nikki, is that what
Yeah.
comes out of our mouth actually matters, and
Yes.
unfortunately, with social media, it is pretty it's pretty scary what people say.
It can be. It can be. I try to
Hmm.
turn around people so many times as much as I possibly can, but I feel that for sure. I'm going to wrap it up really quick with a fun thing that I remember that the way how we kind of connected in the beginning, like how we
Uh
kind of
oh.
became friends. At least I see myself as that. I hope you do. If not, that's fine. We're just online friends. But you called me out on something that I did, a mistake, and it's okay. Because I actually see it as a learning moment. I saw it as like, you know what, someone told me that, and it's important for me. And I remember you feeling a little icky about it, even mentioning it. Was my crochet bowl cozy that I mentioned was microwavable, and I shouldn't have done that because I had no guarantee whether the yarn could be put in a microwave. And but you
Hmm.
were so respectful about it, and I still like really I love that how you phrased it and how you were so genuine, and really it wasn't just about calling someone out. No, you weren't. You were really about genuine, about concern about the audience and making sure that everyone is safe. And I love that. But that kind of got us into conversation and stuff. And now I ended up having one of your books, the first edition, and it makes
Hmm.
me so proud having that in my hands. And I wrote up a blog post about it. I'll link it down
Hmm.
below and also have a link for everyone who wants this book. But tell us, how did that even come about that you decided to create this book? Was it really
So
just one
the
behind Crochet Crowd, or was there more to it?
I feel in this industry that you don't get the credit for where we are in our positions, Nikki, unless you have a book.
That's
And
true.
so, do you feel that like you're
I
not a valid designer because you don't have a real book?
I do. I feel that because I've talked with a few designers about this. And it's like I hear horror stories sometimes about these book deals, but they
Hmm.
do them because it's like you need to have that one book. You need to show that you're an author, and I feel like you know what I personally I'm just gonna tell you real quick. I have done so many ebooks. I still consider myself an author, even though it's not a physical book you can buy at the bookstore. But yes, I agree with you 100%. Like people
Yeah, especially
see
when you go
different.
to a live show, they said, "Have you wrote a book?" I'm like, "No." And I've been told I haven't been to VideoCon. I think they call for YouTube where you show up, and there is a secret number that was just your subscriber number, which is over
Mhm.
your head, and it's not there, but people will judge you based on the number of subscribers you have.
Yeah.
And so I felt in the behind the scenes that if I didn't have a book, I wasn't a valid person in this industry. But let me tell you, Nikki, you don't need a book. Honestly,
Yes.
um, you don't need a book to empower people.
Yes.
It is more of a showpiece than anything. It doesn't change you. It says, "Yeah, I have a book," but honestly, we did it. It'll be the only edition. I'm not doing that twice.
Yes.
It is a lot of work, and I feel like somebody in our position with the online work that we do, we can do far better and motivate far more people with what we do online on the YouTube platform versus writing a book that gets dated and the designs become out of trend in time.
That's true. That's
So
true.
so
And
don't devalue yourself if you don't have a real book
I
because it
love
really
that.
it doesn't matter.
Thank you. And I feel like this is actually a message to a lot of people, regardless of which industry you're in, really. Like, don't go live by the standards. Like, go do your own thing and make people smile, make people happy, and teach them. And I love that. I am, regardless of whatever it is, I am honored to have this. I'm proud that you sent this to me, and I will cherish this forever. And I am so, so grateful that you were on my show. Thank you so much. For everyone who wants to follow Mikey on all social media platforms, I'll also link back to his book down below in the description. So go check that out. Follow him on YouTube. He's huge on YouTube and very, very good with his tutorials. So I'm very, very honored that I watched many of them. Learned a lot of things, especially Tunisian crochet. I learned a lot from you. So thank you so much for being on my show. It was an honor to have you. Thank you, Mikey.
No, thank you. And I hope you have a good one.
Bye, everyone.
Yes. And see ya.